Hi! So you're back in Unclassified Butterfly and focusing specifically on BPO, and this time around with quite a controversial topic. And it is about dealing with redundancy or being laid off. In my entire career in the industry, I've done this quite a few times, and I've also experienced it myself. So there are many reasons, and let me just give two sides to this. One is, what's the likelihood that the organization is laying off or putting people in a redundancy? And then two, how do you react to it? Now, how do you react to it is the most important topic I want to shed some light to it and give my insights. Okay. Now, the first, and again, there are many reasons. If you're working in the BPO in the space of dealing with clients, so one of the most famous or popular reason would be that there is actually a consistent non-performance of your particular site, center, or organization. When I say consistent, this has been ongoing for a while. Now, there are many reasons other than this, but this is the number one, I would say, reason that a client pulls out. The second is that they're actually downsizing as a bigger company because of some revenue issues, or their company isn't doing well financially, so they're cutting down on headcount. So that can be the second most popular reason why they would do that. But most likely, when they do that, they will actually force rank their partner vendors and then figure out who's the best one to keep, if that's the route. So basically, you'll probably have one or the other reason, or it could be both. Right? So let's put that aside, and that's primarily being handled by a lot of the executives dealing with this. Now, for captive environment, or in this case, you're hired directly and you're dealing with this directly done by the organization, it's most likely due to money. They're not doing well financially, and there are directions for them not just to actually be much more cost efficient, but also because there are reasons behind it, such as a lot of self-serve coming up or digitalization that's going on that reduces the requirement for you to be there. Can I just be very clear with this? Now, a lot of people who's talked to me before about this issue has mentioned several times that I'm a victim here. Everybody's trying to cut down on heads, and I'm the first one out, right? Because I've done this. I have don't have good relationship with other people, or many reasons such as this. And you know what? When I did this and when I was part of it, it wasn't about one person or two people or five people. It's a decision of what's the best route for everyone. Now, organizations today, especially the BPO and even the captive organizations, will try to find a way to redeploy you, right? They will try to find a way, especially if you're a great or a good performer, somebody who's above average, they will try to find places for you to actually go within the organization. They will try their best. Otherwise, if there's really nothing, then it's the route there is really being laid off. And the notice period is usually a month. They will give you a paper that shows the start date and most likely the end date. And within that time frame, they will try to redeploy you, or even give you a choice to actually be redeployed somewhere else if they have an opening. Now, that is again a very generalist point of view. There are many reasons behind this, and there are many ways that an organization actually executes their plan of the redundancy or people being laid off. So I want to put that aside because I want to really spend time about how you deal when you're told that you're going to be in a redundancy program. So, now, normally, and this is the problem, is that we blame the entire system, the environment, the leadership, everybody else except yourself. Now, if you're a top performer, here's what I'm going to tell you. You might end up having to be redeployed in this case, or being put out and then trying to find work. You will be able to land a job. Now, it may not be as quick, but you will, because you have the skills to deliver it, and you have proof that you have delivered it. Now, if you're above average or low or inconsistent in terms of performance, come on now. I think stop the blame game and look at yourself, right? So stop blaming everybody else and look within. So that's the most important thing. Don't play a victim. And I've been sharing this in many of my conversations with people. Look at the things that you can learn from your experience and tell yourself how you can do better, right? Look at your experience and then find ways to learn from it so you can now apply it in your new job, okay? The second most important is that stop having conversations with people about negative things around just what happened, right? If you want to find out the truth, look at your performance and output. Numbers do not lie. If the performance is going southward or you're not meeting targets, that's the answer. There is no other answer there. You know, and if there's any politics going on, you know, people and all that, you have no control over that. But just look at the numbers and then where do you fare? Again, back to this whole thing of not being a victim. So, and that's really particularly talking about if you're in a BPO, in this case, a client pulls out. If you're working in a captive environment and your role ends up to be in a redundancy, then you look back in how the company's performing, and again, back to the point that I'm saying, find ways to actually learn from it and learn from your mistakes, because there's no other way. There's no other way, or else you're just going to be miserable. Now, the third, and I'm just going to be talking about the initial shock of this. When you're told about it, cry. It's okay. You know, putting a brave face may not necessarily be what you naturally feel, but if you need to cry, just go do it. If you need to ask questions, especially when you're being told individually or even as a group, ask questions. But remember, how you react to this, and if you're negative around it, reflects back on the values that you stand for. So rather than being a pain in everybody's behind, you know, learn from it and just continue to ask relevant questions and not to piss people off in dealing with this. Maturity is so important, and don't take that for granted, because our industry is so small. People know when you react well to such things, and people also talk about those that did not, and you don't want to be in that. I know it's hard to control how you feel, and sometimes when it is very hard, that you're naturally going to express it. But I know for a fact that you'll regret it. And I've seen a lot of my team members in the past who did not react well, and they struggle today personally in getting a job or staying on it for a while because they haven't learned their lesson. So again, if you need to cry, cry. If you need to clarify, clarify. But remember, respect. Ask the question with a lot of respect. Don't be rude about it. It's not gonna help you. It's not gonna help you change your circumstance. It is what it is. It's hard to embrace this, especially if you're experiencing this the first time. But to do it with grace, hand to heart, you will regret if you don't. Hand to heart, if you do it well, you'll be proud of yourself. Again, you can ask questions. Ask as many as you want. That's okay. And the people in front of you who's there announcing it, you know what? Like I did, I was having a hard time. It's never going to be easy as a leader telling everybody that this is the situation. So they too are having a hard time dealing with this. Not because they're secured, you know, not that. It's just difficult to let go of people, especially if you guys have been working together for such a long time. So it isn't easy for them either. However, it doesn't change the fact that the decision has already been made. Whatever questions you're going to ask, it's leading towards more about how to work on this and work through the process, and not about going in the past and blaming and pointing fingers at everybody else. So remember, each one of us has a great contribution to the output of our particular process, group, site, center, our organization. Every single one of us, we contribute to the positive things that's happening and even the negative things. So my friendly advice again is take it well. Take it with maturity. And now personally, on the side as a bonus, go to the bathroom if you need to and just cry it out. Go and talk to your friends and hug and say, you fought really well. You can go to your friends and cry about it. Hug each other and tell yourselves you tried as much as you could, right? To keep the account going. And in this case, it did not pan out. So which is fine. It's okay to feel that, right? And feel that for that day. It's okay. Now, if somebody tells you that it's going to be okay, tomorrow's going to be fine, God has a special plan for you, etc. I know in your head, it's like, nope. That, I don't think that's, what I feel right now. You have mixed emotions. You're sad, you're angry, you feel frustrated. That's fine. It's okay to cry and just be, right? It's okay. I'm telling you, it's really fine. It's human that way, But it is going to be unfair if you react disrespectfully to people around you. Because that will, again, not change the decision. It will reflect bad on you. This industry is so small. People know people. People will find out how you reacted. And you don't want that to be in your name and tarnish your name. Take care of it. Okay, quite a handful to take around dealing with redundancy. And I want to take this bit by bit because there are many ways to deal with this, and I don't want this to be too long. I want this to be very pointed. The first time you hear this news, how do you deal with it? I hope you come back again to Unclassified Butterfly. I'm excited to actually announce that we're also going to have an FB Live soon with a few of my collaborators to talk about certain topics, and I'm sure you've seen some of the commentaries and suggestions made. Love to hear your suggestions too. Today, for those of you who are experiencing redundancy or being laid off, I wish you well. Virtual hugs for you. Things are going to be far difficult in the first few weeks. Again, ambiguity is hard to deal with. But remember, there's a way to this. There's a way to react to this. And I'll help you more as we go along discussing this topic. Talk to you soon. Bye.